No? I'm just sort of like, I'm just imagining from the perspective of one of the guys, just sitting there. It's like, what the hell? What these weird teenagers? They're insane. Uh, the theater cube was on the 11th floor of the Hikario. The entrance hall was called the Sky Lobby. It was an all-glass observation deck. You could look out and see Shibuya from there. Even at this height, I could see how empty the town was. It was like time itself had stopped. What the?
おい、君た
Hey,
ち、時間ギリギリだよ。
there they are. His face looks smaller from a distance. I guess there's Kurosu, but she's just sitting there though. I wonder why. You would think she'd be tied up or something, but I don't know. She already dead or something? Or maybe she's gone insane already? I don't know. The entrance was empty except for Wakue. He spoke like he was our teacher and we were his students. It pissed me off. He was a bag of shit, wearing the skin of a teacher. I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. There was a single chair next to him. Kurusu was sitting in it.
クルス。
She didn't respond. She wasn't tied down or restrained in any way. She was sitting up straight, her posture excellent, her hands on her lap. Her expression was lifeless. Her eyes were open, there was no sparkle in them. He couldn't have.
クルスに何をした？別に大したことはしてないんだけどね。ちょっとばかり過去の傷をえぐってあげたぐらいだよ。お前、体を傷つけたりはしていないんだ。ちょっとおとなしくなってもらっただけさ。非難されても困るな。
My vision turned red with rage. I was overtaken with an impulse to punch him in the face. Kazuki gripped my hand tighter. Our eyes met. She said nothing, but she sadly shook her head. I thought I could tell what she was trying to say. Don't resist. We come here to be killed. We would turn ourselves over to Waku in exchange for Kurusu. That never works though, You're just gonna kill Kurusu anyway, for fun, maybe, I don't know. Because I imagine Kurusu, I guess Takaru doesn't really know, but like, if Takaru dies, then Kurusu will probably come looking for revenge, and then she'll get killed in the end anyway, It won't help. The only people you should, well, I don't know, at least in fiction anyway, the only people you should exchange hostages with is if the other person is actually honorable, they have like a history of actually honoring their deals. But otherwise, there's no way you could trust this guy. You might as well just, let Kurusu die because he's gonna die either way. Oh well. But we run out of ideas. Kazuki's words hadn't worked. Our last hope was to do whatever Raku wanted. I gripped my fists tight. Excuse. So thirsty. Kazuki's yelling has also made my throat thirsty, somehow. I gripped my fists tightly and swallowed my anger.
クルスを解放してください。僕らは抵抗する気はありません。あ、そうなの？
Wakui chuckled and put his hand on Kurusu's shoulder in a friendly way. That was almost enough to bring her anger back.
その割にはさっき下で何かやってたみたいだけど。
Shit, he found out. He just looked out the window, basically. Kazuki couldn't speak. I had to come up with something.
でも結局何も起きなかったんですよ。だから全部諦めてここに来たんです。あれぐらい見逃してくださいよ。あなたの方が圧倒的に立場上じゃないですか。殺すなら殺してもいいですから。でもせめてクルスだけは助けてほしいんです。それぐらいのお願いは聞いてくれてもいいでしょ。宮代くんはそんなに死にたいのかい？
I gulped.
昨日みたいなことをされるぐらいなら死んだ方がマシです。 そうしたら楽になれるから。
I spoke honestly.
そっか。なるほどね。委員会からの指示ではね、君たちを殺せとは言われていないんだ。いや失礼。言い方が正しくないな。和樹くんについては殺すなと言われているんだ。君は貴重なサンプルなんでね。宮代くんについては、正直どっちでもよかったりする。彼女からは殺してもいいという許可はもらったわけだから、僕の気分次第という感じかな。
は？
Who was she? Well, we know, but what did he mean it was up to him?
とりあえず宮代くんのことは後で考えるとして。
He laughed mockingly. Oh, there's his sword. Sword? Why would it look like a sword? He's just grabbing like a weird ball thing and then like a I guess it's pointed directly at us, maybe? That's why it looks weird. But I mean in general it's weird, I guess. Well, he took out a sword. Its shape was so awful, so terrifying that just seeing it made me want to throw it up. Or throw it up? Throw it up rather. I felt like the physical embodiment of what a piece of shit Waku he was.
まず
So
は
rude.
和樹くんに。
He put the blade out to Kurusu's neck.
絶望してもらおうかな。
待て！
That wasn't the deal. Instantly, Kazuki shook off my hand and made her own D-sword appear. The blade whipped out about like a snake and then hardened into a solid, straight form. Okay, now we're just gonna fight. You just fight normally. She flung it straight at Wakui. It was just a quick snap the wrist with no wind up at all, but it flew so fast that it created shockwaves as it traveled. You know, if she could have used the D-sword before, maybe she didn't have to like summon a portal device, you know? Or at least she didn't intend to, but she could have just used that sword to attack, you know, the pyrokinetic girl instead and fought like that, but I guess not. Wakui blocked it with his own blade.
抵抗する気満々じゃないか。先生に嘘はいけないな。嘘をついたのはどの口だい？
Nah. Suddenly and inexplicably, Kazuki stuck out her tongue. Man. What was she doing? She looked upward toward the ceiling and stuck it out more. She stumbled on her tiptoes, her legs shivering like a newborn fawn's and her hands flapping desperately to keep balance. It was like she was pulling upward by an invisible fishing hook that had pierced right through her tongue. Yeah, so we're just gonna rip out her tongue? My god.
和樹、どうした？
Tears swarmed in the corner of her eyes. Her expression contorted in pain. Her eyes looked to me for help.
子供の頃、親に言われたことはないかい？嘘つきは閻魔様に舌を引っこ抜かれるぞってさ。
Do they say that? I don't know if they say that. I've heard of like soap, you know, if you say like a bad word, but ripping out your tongue, I don't know about that. I felt something cold run down my back. I had a very bad feeling.
よせ！
There's no time for me to even reach out my hand. Yes, before Kazuki bit off her own tongue. Blood splurted everywhere. Her frail body lost its balance and collapsed.
和樹！
That'd be quite painful. I mean, a lot of people actually, well, I mean, I guess, I mean, at least in fiction anyway, kill themselves by biting their own tongue. I don't know how that would work. I mean, you die of blood loss, I guess. I have bitten my own tongue before, but not like intentionally or anything. It does hurt a lot. Like, but imagine like biting so hard that blood comes out and like a lot of blood comes out and then you die of blood loss. I don't know. I mean, I've heard of that. I mean, it might happen in real life, but I only ever heard about that happening in like, you know, stories and everything, fiction. That's quite hardcore. I don't know. Anyway, but obviously she's, you know, she's done it Not out of her own free will, but obviously Wakui forced her to do that, I guess. Or I don't know. Did she? I don't know. Did she like bite her tongue because she wanted to like get out of the control? I don't know. Anyway, I ran over and held her in my arms. Her eyes had rolled into the back of her head, and bubbles were pouring from her mouth as her body spasmed with pain. But there's no blood around her mouth. Huh? So what had I just seen? Confused, I used my fingers to open her mouth. Her tongue was still there. Oh, that's fine. It had been severed. I looked around, I couldn't see any pieces of it lying on the floor. Wakui was grinning.
自分が舌を噛み切るリアルな幻覚を見せられたらさすがにショックでかいよね。でもこんなのまだまだ序の口だよ。和樹くんには徹底的に壊れてもらわないと。
Oh
サン
no.
プルっていうのはそういうものだからね。
I didn't even feel any rage. There's only powerlessness and despair. There's no point in even trying to fight him. I couldn't save anyone. Not Kurusu, not Kazuki, not even myself. Everything was up to Wakui now. All I could do was wait for the moment of my death like cattle. I hadn't even planned on fighting back when I come here anyway. I knew I probably wouldn't be able to save Kurusu. That's right. None of this was unexpected. I would be killed and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. There's nothing more to it than that. No matter how much I had to watch Kazuki and Kurusu suffer, they're all gonna die anyway. It didn't matter. Once you died, the pain went away. I was tired. I just wanted this over with. Maybe I should bite off my own tongue. Yeah, it's good. Well, I was gonna say good idea, but not really. Again, it's very painful just to accidentally bite off your own tongue, but actually biting it off entirely, man, I can imagine how painful that is. Mm.
なんだ？宮代くんも壊れ気味なのかい？こらえしょうがないな。だったらさっきの続きを見せてあげるよ。
Wakui put the blade back to Kurusu's neck.
目をそらしてはいけない。しっかり見ておくこと。ほら。
The sharp blade sliced open the white flesh of her neck. Yes, we're seeing Kurusu die again, I guess. You know, we didn't see. Well, like I remember Adamura's route. You know, there's less. What happened in Adamura's route? Yeah, in Adamura's route, most of the conflict happened with her mother, actually. You know, so we weren't like fighting any psychics or anything. But in this route, it's kind of reminiscent when we were like fighting against Sakuma. Actually, we're basically fighting Sakuma version 2. You know. And we're seeing Kurusu die once again and everything. Oh. Blood spluttered out like a fountain. I watched it as if in a trance. Kurusu's head had slumped forward, so Wakui grabbed it and lifted it up so I could see her face. Her expression was blank. There's no sign of pain, no sign of resistance. That made me feel just a little bit better. At least she didn't suffer. Wakui's blade was extremely sharp. I cut through Kurusu's neck like a knife through butter. It didn't seem real at all. It was like watching the death of one of the characters in the game I played with Kazuki. You know, like, well, that's like me right now. Just watching the death of a character. Don't worry about it. Wakui lifted up Kurusu's head and tossed it away. Oh, okay. She's completely decapitated or something? It landed on the ground in front of me as I lay there. Her long hair wrapping around it as it rolled. Okay. I was thinking like it would just, if he would just do like a small cut, you know, she just spray a bunch of blood. But no, he just completely sliced it off. I hadn't realized her head was so small. As I stared at it, someone walked over to me. I looked up. Kurusu's headless body was standing in front of me. The body slowly picked up the head and it went back to the chair. Isn't there like a certain type of monster, you know, a monster girl that's like that? I forget the name, but it's kind of like, you know, their body and their head is like, they can like take it off and put it back on, I guess. Whoop. You know, just like, put it back on. Then I put his head back on, the same way a person might put on a helmet. A low moan came from its mouth. Kurusu blinked several times. Risa Doolahans? Yeah, Doolahans, I think. You know? Well, Doolahans in general are like, you know, based on what's his face? The guy, I forget what you call him, but like, you know, the knight, you know, that rides on the horse and has like a pumpkin head or whatever. It's based on that, I guess. But there's like I guess, you know, just like anything in anime, there's like a cutesy girl version of the Dulahan. That's what it reminds me of. Anyway. Anyway, Kurusu looked at me, I think. Oh, she looks fine now, you know. And her head completely healed. No neck scars. What was going on? What kind of nightmare was this? Her head was connected to her body once more. Kurusu saw me and started to cry. Takaru. Oh yeah, I remember now. It's the Headless Horseman, which is also like a thing in Fate Go. Actually, one of the, I believe the Avengers is also based on that, sort of. It's like it's like there's two, I guess, myths that a servant in Fate Go is kind of based on. They're like 2 in 1. Anyway, what was happening? I don't know. Why?
2度目は思考を変えてみよう。
I guess let's like cut off her head again. The second time? What do you mean the second time? Wakoi stuck the blade up against her neck again. Kurusu's features contorted with terror. She just died. You just chopped off her head. So why was she asking me for help? You already did. Mo shindieru. Don't look at me that way.
さようなら。
She screamed and shook as her neck was sliced open. Her screams quickly stopped and were replaced by a sound like air from a leaky pipe. Again, her head rolled down and landed on the floor with a thud. Well, just, put it back on. Don't worry about it. What was going on here? Why did Kurusu have to get her head cut off twice? Kurusu had nothing to do with this. She hadn't caused any problems for Wakoi or the committee. This was an illusion. That's right, an illusion. Just a delusion that Wakoi was forcing me to experience. Kurusu wasn't killed twice. She was killed once, and the second was just an illusion.
拾いなさい。
Wakoi said something strange. Kurusu's body stood in answer to his words and picked up her head again. He just went again, put it back. It's weird because her hair is also cut in half, and they just like slide it back in the image. But anyway, then she put it back on her body. Was she supposed to be that hero whose head was stuffed with red bean paste? What was that reference to? I don't know. This wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. I don't know. I find it a little bit funny, but maybe laughing would have made it easier. My vision blurred. I realized I was crying. I started to hear Kurusu's sobs. Well, obviously you put it back on your body, right? That's how it works. Easy. I felt like I was going to go crazy. I didn't want to see anymore. I wanted everything to go totally black. This was all a delusion. That's what I wanted to believe. When would it end? I don't know. How many times would Kurisu have to have her head cut off before he finally let her die? How many times would I have to see her head cut off before he finally let me die? I couldn't take it anymore. I was sick of this. If I could just destroy my own mind, then I wouldn't be able to feel anything. I could be at peace until I died. That'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be okay, wouldn't it? Okay, now what? And suddenly, there was a noise like a trumpet that filled the whole Shibuya sky.
この音はまさか
For the first time, Waku's expression changed to one of shock, and he looked directly at the still unconscious Kazuki. That's right, the sound. Is it a portal device? It was the one I heard already once before.
まさか
Kazuki's power, Kazuki's words, Kazuki's delusions. Had one become real? The super strong sumo sticker? How do you say it again? Chosyo Rikishi Siru. You know, something like that. Anyway. But if it had, what form was it gonna take? As a giant sumo wrestler, maybe? I don't know. If nothing else, I couldn't see anything happening near where we were. But Waku and I listened carefully. I tried to listen and see if there was anything to be heard but Kurisu's sobs. I looked around desperately, trying to find the sumo sticker. What was it? What had changed? I heard a faint noise, like a rumble in the distance. It was far smaller than the sound of the trumpet I first heard. But the floor began to shake in answer to the sound. It wasn't an earthquake. The tremors were spaced too closely. It was outside. Something was happening outside. Ignoring Kazuki, Kurisu and Wakui, I staggered over to the glass window. I wanted to see it for myself. What form had Kazuki's last uncontrollable wish taken? In some tiny corner of my crippled heart, I thought to myself that maybe it would be nice if whatever it was destroyed this whole insane world. I realized I was on the verge of going mad. But even so, I looked outside with burning hope in my heart. I looked down the city of Shibuya below, and there, I saw it. I suddenly realized that something was wrong. I didn't want to admit that it could be real. I thought it might be another delusion of Wakui's, but...
なんだありゃ
Am I right? He's gonna be like a giant sumo wrestler or something? Waku had forgotten all about toying with me and was instead gazing in awe at the unbelievable sight before him. From the look of things, it wasn't something he had created. It was real. This was what Kazuki had created. When I realized this, I was awestruck. I mean, the scale was all wrong. Okay. Turns out it became, you know, I was gonna make a joke about how the dragons were like basically titans from Shingeki no Kyojin or Attack on Titan, but actually now it's Attack on Sumo. It was holding the cylinder tower of the 107 building like you or I might hold a body pillow. Oh yeah, 107. Oh, that's what 107 is by. Okay, well, I don't know. I remember in the map thing, I was very confused when someone said 107. As it turns out, this was staring right at my face this whole time. 107 right there. I never realized, like an actual thing there. It was shaped like a human. Yes. It was pretty pudgy. No, it was obese. The surface of its body was slick and shiny. Whether it was sweating or that was just what its skin was like, I couldn't tell. It was mostly naked, except for a loincloth around its waist. And also, I mean, aren't we supposed to be affected by this, you know, sumo sticker man? I guess not. Because isn't like psychics are supposed to like have a negative effect, you know, from looking at this face? We're just describing it very, you know, carefree. Its black hair was oily and clung tightly to its head, but there was no top knot. Its hair was parted perfectly in the center. Strangely enough, its face had 2 mouths, 2 noses, and 3 eyes. It was not the face of a human. A sumo sticker. Its face was a sumo sticker. The center eye was closed, but the other 2 was flung wide open. and even at this distance I could see that the giant eyeballs were constantly moving. Its mouth was continually opening and closing. It didn't seem to be eating anything. Whether it was sleepy or thirsty or maybe even trying to speak, I couldn't tell. Its movements were sluggish and lumbering. It was like a giant monster from a kaiju movie. Yeah, it's like, oh, where's Godzilla? Godzilla's gonna show up as well? A giant monster, that was the perfect word for it. It was as tall as was the 107 building after all. Giant Sumo Sticker Man, at least that's what I decided to call him. I've been very interested in his feat since the moment I first seen him. If I remember right, there was a portal device over there and the place was crawling with monsters. Giant Sumo Sticker Man lifted up one of his feet off the ground and flicked it a little. It was covered with monsters clinging to it. From this distance, they looked like tiny little pieces of garbage, but I could still see them. Giant Sumo Sticker Man kept shaking his left leg, but the monsters didn't let go. And then... No, what did he say? The two males howled in unison, and slammed his left leg into the ground. Well, the monsters were knocked off. In fact, he crushed the portal device itself. The pyrokinetic had been annihilated when she touched the device, but evidently it wasn't capable of handling something the size of Giant Sumo Sticker Man. He's the hero who's gonna save us all. Giant Sumo Sticker Man. The horrible portal device that caused so much pain was crushed beneath the feet of Giant Sumo Sticker Man. Hilarious. I started to laugh. This time it wasn't out of resignation. I hadn't gone crazy. Faced with the overwhelming size and scale of Giant Sumo Sticker Man, after all the time I spent running and being afraid of for the past week, it all just seemed kind of stupid. This entire thing is kind of stupid, but oh well. I could understand why Kawakui was panicking. In the face of something like that, your only options were to laugh, scream, or pretend it didn't exist. Who the hell had dreamed that thing up? Multiple people had to share the same precise image, down to the smallest details, for Kazuki's words to become real. Was that what they taken from the super strong sumo sticker? Shōsyo Rikishi Shiru? It was a miracle created by astronomical odds. The human imagination could be a scary, scary thing. Giant Sumo.
Takuru... senpai...
Kazuki had woken up and staggered over to me. I quickly grabbed her body to steady her. Her mouth fell open too when she saw a Giant Sumo Sticker Man.
あれって... 私が...
きっとそうだ。
I can't take this visual novel seriously anymore, but we'll continue on. Kazuki closed her eyes tight.
涌井先生をぶっ倒してくれないかな。
Sure thing, I'll just walk up to him and slap him in the face. As if in answer to her words, Giant Sumo Sticker Man howled once more. Okay. It waved his giant arms, knocking down the 107 building tower. That's a lot of damage. As the rubble and dust flew up into the air, Giant Sumo Sticker Man looked at us. It's very small odds that Giant Sumo Sticker Man would be summoned, but you know what? Why not? Did he recognize us, or maybe Kazuki? Giant Sumo Sticker Man's central eye opened. It was a black pupil with a crimson iris. The third eye was looking straight at us. When it saw us, a sense of undescribable terror and exhaustion raced through my body. My knees started to shake and I couldn't even stand. My vision blurred, my ears started to ring, and I felt like I was going to throw up. Again, he always keeps saying that, isn't he? Takuru's always going to say, oh, I'm going to throw up. I imagined every drop of blood in my body freezing. My whole body started to shudder from the cold. It was a million times worse than the sumo stickers I'd seen around the city. What happened to Wakoi? I forced myself to look through my blurred vision. It was kneeling on the floor and vomiting. It was working. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was nullifying his power.
Kazuki.
Kazuki had gone pale and was clinging to me tightly. I shook her by the shoulders.
あれに命令しろ。
Can you do that? Can you order your giant monster?
巨大力士シールマンはお前の言うことなら聞いてくれるかもしれない。
Kazuki nodded through the pain. She looked back out at giant sumo sticker man. Ah, yes, this is when, you know, this is the story of a teenage girl and her
こっちに
giant sumo sticker man. A classic story. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. But he heard it. Giant sumo sticker man unleashed a mighty roar from both of his mouths and took a slow, ponderous step forward. His blubber shook as he walked. He traveled the distance between the 107 building and Scramble Crossing in only a few steps. Maybe he could sense Kazuki's thoughts. I had no idea how it worked and I didn't care. This is all just ridiculous. At this point, there was no point in asking questions. I couldn't get distracted.
君たちなんてものを生み出してくれたんだ。あのデタラメな存在は一体なんだ。世界の秩序とか一切無視か。
How did we get to this point? You know, I remember that meme. Isn't there like a meme where you're like, you know, this is what I played, I show Chaos Child, this is what I expected, and I show like, you know, Detective Conan, Phoenix Wright, you know, Danganronpa, super super cool murder mystery type thing, and that's what I expected. But what I got was a giant sumo sticker man, you know? And you know what? Oh well. Wakai stood up and slowly moved toward us, shaking and wobbling as he moved. I slid between him and Kazuki and pushed him away. He couldn't regain his balance and fell flat on his behind. His butt.
力が入らない。力士シールの効力なのか。なるほど、そういうことか。あんなものをリアルブートしたのにはそういう理由が。アンチギガロマニアックスの巨人とでも言う気かい。まったくふざけてるな。だが勝ったつもりにならない方がいい。
At almost the exact same moment that Wakui readied his D-sword once more, there was a roar from below that shook the whole building. I looked down to see what had happened, and giant sumo sticker man was lying on top of an elevated section of the Yamanote railway line. He must have tripped on it, yes. He grabbed the side of the station building and used it to help himself up, crushing the tracks in the process, you know, kind of destroying the entire city here. And then he moved forward. I guess Wakui's gonna get numbed. He's gonna get bored, you know. And slammed himself in the side of Hikaru Iwo. It was more like we were gonna get all destroyed because this giant man is gonna like bring down this entire building. The Hikaru Iwo was struck with the force of hundreds, no thousands of Yokozunas. Yokozunas? I don't know what that means. Yokozunas? The body slams continued. Again and again. The building itself began to buckle, and the shockwaves set us to the floor. The glass broke and poured down on us. I felt a cold wind on my skin. And when the shaking finally stopped, I looked to see what had happened to Kazuki and Kurusu. I was relieved to see that they hadn't fallen out of the window. But Wakui was still alive. He stood up before we had and was cursing us in rage. There was another huge shock. Wakui and the rest of us were knocked away. I was worried that the Hikaru Iwo might break.
君たち悪いけどあれなんとかしてくれないかな。あーいやいい。やっぱりいいや。先に君たちを殺すから。
Wakui didn't even have the energy left to keep up his good teacher act. He readied his D-sword, his face flushed with anger. He attacked us in desperation. Even though it was obvious he could barely stand. He was obsessed. But I wasn't ready to give up yet either. We finally had our own trump card, Giant Sumo Sticker Man. And I was every bit as obsessed with killing Iwakui. I grabbed Kazuki's body in my arms and leapt outside through the broken window. Oh, okay. Whee! Where are we going? The ground got closer and closer. I was scared. If I hit the ground at this speed, my bones would shatter, my body would be crushed, and I'd die in a spray of blood and organs. There's nothing to support me, nothing to grab onto. I couldn't keep my balance in midair. I clung tightly to Kazuki. I guess suddenly double suicide. No. I guess we're just gonna get caught by the giant Superman. Where's Kurusu, by the way? Assuming she's not a corpse already, you know? I don't know if it was an illusion that she's still alive, or it was a delusion that she's already dead, but... like, she's still there? You know, she's still in the building? I don't know. But Kazuki quickly understood and looked around for it. There's no need to look. Giant Sumo Sticker Man was right under us, clinging to the Hikario building. He twisted his neck to look at us. A huge flabby hand was extended beneath us. Okay. Thank you, Giant Sumo Sticker Man. And he caught us. It was soft, like a cushion. We were still going pretty fast though, so the impact was intense. But at least we were alive. I looked up. I could see his arm, his shoulder, and his giant sumo sticker head. Or face, rather. Seen from up close, it made me feel even sicker. A part of me wanted to jump off and die rather than stay here. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and did my best to fight the impulse. You know, you could do the you could do the thing that happened in Naruto actually, where you could like not look into his face, you know, just look down. That's how you defeat the Sharingan, you know? Anyway. I could hear Wakui's voice from above. I looked up and saw that he had jumped out of the building too. Okay. Whee! Oh, he has what? How did he get that giant monster out of nowhere as well? A huge bird like something out of an encyclopedia of dinosaurs had flown on from out of nowhere, and Wakui had grabbed onto its leg. Oh yeah, and that's his sword. I guess it's a better view of his sword. Yeah, it looks kind of, yeah. It looks more like a sword, I guess, from a different view. When it was like pointing straight at us, though, it looked kind of weird. It's Ridley? I guess so. Ridley. It's left through the air toward us. ESO too. Oh, I know you say Quetzalcoatl. Or how do you say your name? It's really a hard name to say. Quetzalcoatl, you know, from Fate Go as well. Anyway. It was pink and almost completely featherless. I could tell by comparing its size to Wakui's that its wingspan was over 5 meters long. There's no such bird as that, and even if there were, it wouldn't live in the middle of Tokyo, and even if it did, it would be taking orders from Wakui. Wakui's delusions had created it. Wakui flew past the giant sumo sticker man, slicing into his shoulder with a D-sword. His two mouths moaned in pain. And instead of blood of white sumo stickers splurred out of the wound, the wind carried them to the Shibuya sky. Okay. Wakui spun around midair for another attack. It really is an attack on sumo.
Kazuki.
Then I realized that Kazuki was holding the sides of her temples in pain. Her body was so hot in my arms that I thought I might get burned. She was feeling weak. I wasn't sure if it was because of Wakui's attack, or the fact that she'd used her power. Or maybe it was because she was giving orders to Giant Sumo Sticker Man. I screamed, unable to stand seeing her in that state, but she immediately shook her head and looked at me in desperation. She spoke the words clearly. Could I do it? Kazuki grabbed me by the necktie as if to urge me on. She gritted her teeth. I whispered in my ear through the pain.
先輩が指示してください。そしたら戦える。
I could do it. I could fight. In fact, I had a monster in my disposal that was capable of ripping Wakui in two. Do you? Oh, I mean, well, I guess this guy right here. Which meant I will use that power to survive.
わかった。
Kazuki nodded and giant sumo stickers man's fingers closed around us. He brought his hand up and sat us on his shoulder. Alright. Whee! I don't know, I think it's become... You know, again, I was expecting horror and everything, murder mysteries. I feel like we're just in a comedy now. I don't know. It was a little more unstable than his palm, at least here I wouldn't have to look at his face. This is just like a parody of like many different things, you know? Just as I thought, moving up here made me feel a lot bit better. I had Kazuki summon her D-Star and plunge it to Sumo Sticker's man's neck, giving us support so he wouldn't fall off. Wouldn't that hurt? You're hurting the man. You're hurting the sumo man. Wakui was getting closer. He wasn't our club advisor or anything else. The committee of 300 could go to hell. Boo! Giant Sumo Sticker's man's arm flew forward. He smashed Wakui with an open palm, the same way you swat a fly. Wakui landed hard near Memorial Park. The impact could have easily killed him, but it wasn't normal, so I wasn't going to show any mercy. In a single bound, Giant Sumo Sticker Man covered the distance between here and Memorial Park. He could jump an amazing distance for a fat man. Yeah, this I don't know what you call it. I don't know, whatever. Like, why are we fixating on that at this point? But anyway, Kazuki and I clung as tightly as we could to the D-Sword in order to avoid falling off. He landed hard, crushing the area where Wakui had fallen. The impact kicked up rubble and dust around his feet. Did we win? I looked down into the dust. Wakui's D-Sword flew up through the cloud. It was so fast there was no time to dodge. Ow. The sharp blade stabbed into my shoulder. Somehow it went directly into my that was some amazing aim. It tore through flesh and bone. The pain was incredible. I felt like I was going to pass out. Kazuki held me up. She grabbed my hand and placed it on the D-Sword. It was just barely enough to keep me from falling. I bit my lip to get through the pain. I looked in the direction the sword had come from. Wakui was down there, covered in blood and looking up at us in fury, just a little from the spot where the giant Sumo Sticker Man had landed. Giant Sumo Sticker Man flicked Wakui away with his foot. Wakui's body flew like a ping pong ball, while Team Rocket's blasting off again. At that point, the fight was over. Oh. But I wasn't done yet, okay? By weapon, I meant the Shibuya Earthquake Memorial, which had survived the impact of the jump and was sticking out of the ground near Giant Sumo Sticker Man's feet. I'm getting a lot of CGs of this moment, I guess. So much CGs of Giant Sumo Sticker Man. He reached down and yanked it out of the earth. His eyes locked on Wakui as he flew through the air. We're gonna do like an air combo, we're gonna juggle him. This is kind of overkill. Are you sure you're not the monster here? Are you sure you're not the bad guy? Giant Sumo Sticker Man flung back the arm holding the memorial. Kazuki's will and mine dwelt within this giant sumo wrestler's body. His arm snapped forward. The memorial was flung like a spear. The spear instantly crossed the speed of sound. With a sonic boom, it smashed straight into Wakui and obliterated his body. Did you really need to do that? And that was the end. Okay? The D-sword on my shoulder disappeared in a halo of light. Wakui was dead. He never had a chance. It was a one-sided slaughter. Boo. The giant sumo wrestler howled into the open air. He was a destructive monster. He was a brutal giant. We had created something that threatened to destroy the balance of the entire world. I looked up at the Hikario and saw Kurisu waving at us from the shattered sky lobby window. Oh, hey, what's up, Kurisu? We're on the giant monster, by the way.
死ねなかったね、先輩。
For better or for worse, both Kazuki and I had survived. What awaited us now was a hell worse than anything we've gone through so far. We might have brought this terror not only to ourselves, but to the entire world. Nothing about the world would ever be the same, and we'd be left to make our way in it, like lost and frightened children. Even without the Committee of 300's decision, Kazuki and I were enemies of the world for creating such a place. Maybe it would have been better if Wakui had killed us. There was that, and then the fact that I had no idea what we were going to do next, and then the fact that my shoulder was still bleeding and hurt like hell, but... Kazuki was in my arms, looking relieved and at peace. So at least for this one moment, I could be grateful for the warmth I felt. That's what I thought. And then, is that the ending? I saw somehow we just went to like a very completely different direction. It became like a completely different anime. I don't even know what that was. First it was like survival, then it became giant monster anime. I don't know, man. I don't know. There you go, credits. Do we? Well, I don't know. Should I skip the credits? I'm not sure if I should. I never know if I should. Because sometimes you might see something different in the credits, or I might accidentally skip like an extra part, after the credits, if I like press anything. But no, I don't know. There you go. I assume that's the end of Hana's route. I assume that's the normal ending. I wonder if you get... Well, I know there's another ending you could get. It's the bad ending, basically. I don't know how long it is. But it might have something to do with the map. We'll see, I guess. After this, I'll check the bad end as well and see what's that like. What's that like? But yeah, there you go. I don't know. It just went off the rails. It's crazy. We say you're hoping for the savior of France to show up and deal with the dragon from. Ah yes, Kojiro. Yeah, there was that, that whole dragon thing or something. All the teleporting, or what do you call it, portal devices, I guess, all around town. And that was kind of just dropped. Like, who cares? We have a giant monster now. I don't know. What? I don't know how I feel about this. It just went crazy, but not crazy in a good way. It just went. I don't know. I don't know. Chaos Shroud. Apparently this has very positive reviews on Steam. Somehow. I don't know. Maybe I should, I don't know. I guess it's because of my expectations. As I said before, like, I really expected, like, a deep, like, murder mystery, kind of thing. Akin to, like, Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa, those are my favorite games ever, really. But well, Phoenix Wright and Danganronpa, they're very specific on that kind of thing. So I wouldn't fault it for, like, not following, like, a murder mystery exactly. It could have, like, other elements, but, like, I don't know. It just really just became something else, Or it's like a comedy to me, especially like this route. I just laugh, internally at all the things that are happening because they're just ridiculous, just over the top. I don't know. It suddenly oh well, yeah. If you think about it in the Hana route, it suddenly became modded Skyrim. Somehow, just expect Thomas the Tank Engine came out of nowhere and started killing everyone as well. Who knows? I mean, that could happen. Technically, that, like, as a gigalomaniac, you can make anything happen. Like, why did, no, I'm thinking like, why did I even start playing this video novel? Oh, probably because of STEINS Gate. Because I love STEINS Gate though. But STEINS Gate never went this crazy. I don't know. Like, what's STEINS Gate at least felt a little bit more grounded. This one just is not at all. You know, we're not even touching the ground. We're just floating into space. You know, that's what it feels like. Everything about this, especially this route. Maybe that's the point, you know, but I don't know. I really do have to like change. I reevaluate my expectations. Even though, you know, I already went through a lot already. I feel like I just gotta like, you know, be in a different mindset. And not expect like the typical horror, more so just, you know, just have fun with it, I guess. I don't know. I wonder what the next one will be. I guess we'll see. I wonder if the next one will just go as crazy, or maybe it'll be something also completely different, you know? Also, I've noticed that most of the credits here are in Japanese. Was it always in Japanese? I don't really remember. I don't remember the credits were like translated last time. I think they were though. I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe it's in Japanese though, so I can't really read the credits. However. No, there's one thing that I can say about the Hana route. It's the most, you know, she's talked, I guess. She gets more dialogue than simply saying, you know? I wonder what the voice actress, you know? I wonder what she got paid for. Did she get paid per line, or, you know? Because it seemed like she got less work, technically. I assume there's a little bit more? Let's see.
ねえタク楽しかった
I mean, sure. Hee hee ha ha. Okay, Deep Sky in. Alright, that's it. Just that very small line at the very end. Again, that seems to imply that this route is also just not real, you know? Because Sarika is just asking us directly. We had fun, I guess. Weird. Alright, there you go. That's a Hana route. And I think, well, yeah, I think I have enough time. We might as well just do the bad end as well. I gotta check the guide, though. How do I get the bad end again? Let's see. Chaos Child. Ending guide. No spoilers. Spoiler-free walkthrough. Let's see. Route 2 bad end. Choose any of the wrong answers during Route 2's map trigger section. Okay. I mean, that's easy to do. I almost did it accidentally, actually, because I didn't know the answers. Because not only was I just coming back to that section after a bit of a break from the game, but also I didn't really understand, you know, how to exactly point out the things on the map. So go back here. So, you know, Ito was saying, you know, he saw it near Shibuya Station and the police station. We could just choose something just completely random. I guess do this? You know, just do this. This is the police station, right? Yep. That's the police station. And you know what? Pick up here. Sure, why not? Just choose stuff completely random.
お前たちはどうだった
How about you two? Well, you saw it there, and then you saw it near the 107. Again, it's written like 10, it's very small, like it says 107, like spelled. But I didn't really realize that that is the place. I thought it was like a number, you know, actual number. Written as like a highway, you know, like 246, or actually written like, you know, you see here 15, 14, 13. I thought it'd be like 107, exactly that. I guess not. Well, that's 107. Let's just say it's over at the fire station. Why not? Hee hee. Yeah, just choose everything completely wrong. Why not? I assume that we'll get the bad end once we, I guess, you know, get past the dragons, you know, that one time. They were trying to, like, get to Hikario, you know? Oh, okay. And alright, so I assume this is new. if we want to get to the Hikari-o, we have to avoid the monsters appearing from the portal device. Fortunately, after everyone's efforts yesterday, we knew where they were. I had a location saved in my Pokecom. We could use it to take the safest and shortest route to the Hikari-o. Yep. Kazuki looked gloomy. We're gonna die. I didn't blame her. But that didn't mean we could stay here. If we didn't go, we couldn't save Kurusu.
行こ
I urged Kazuki on as we headed for the station. But I underestimated things. I underestimated how dangerous Shibuya was. I underestimated how much the illusion Kazuki had created had echoed. I'd underestimated everything. Just running away from monsters. Whoops. Took the wrong turn. I ran and found myself in a typical Shibuya back alley. How had this happened? Chose the wrong, things on the map. There was a terrifying roar from behind us. The footsteps were loud enough to shake the ground, and they were getting closer. I turned back, afraid and in despair. Hello. A huge red dragon thing was following us through the narrow alley. Kazuki was clinging to my arm, completely out of breath. How had this happened? But it's simply the map was wrong. There was a discrepancy between the map we made for the portal devices and where they really were. And because of that, I ran straight into the monsters like an idiot. just like imagine if you did the map wrong the first time. It's basically the developer saying you're an idiot. It was my mistake. I've been careless. I should have been more careful when going all this for the newspaper club yesterday. But now that I screwed up, there's no sense in dwelling on yesterday's mistakes. At this rate, we both end up as dragon food. I wouldn't make it to Hikari-o, and I wouldn't be able to save Kurusu. I didn't plan on surviving anyway, but I had hope at least that Kurusu would. If I got eaten by a monster here, I would die for nothing. Kazuki was still panting, her shoulders shaking with pain. Her forehead was covered in sweat. I couldn't count on her for anything for a while. It was my screw-up, and I had to be the one to fix it. I looked around. I was looking for my D-sword. If I could use that weapon too. I see Nadamura and Kazuki use it, and I knew well how powerful it was. Maybe that'd be enough for me to fight back against that monster. It'd be better than trying my karate at least. Do you know karate? So come on, D-sword, appear! Well, of course the D-sword has a very high level requirement, and therefore you cannot wield it. Oh well. Of course I had no guarantee it would. It was too much to hope that I might find my D-sword here. But I had to pray anyway. But... I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere.
なんでだよ。ちょっとぐらいこっちの頼みを聞いてくれてもいいじゃないか。
I couldn't help but complain to God, or maybe fate. Fate stay night. In the face of death, in the face of overwhelming power, why couldn't they at least give me a little hope?
出てきてくれよ、ディソード。
I screamed. That dragon also screamed. And the monster screamed too. Oh no, I pissed it off. It was finally starting to calm down. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle a moan of terror. And in my mind I tried to focus on using the only weapon I had. I was looking at a scooter parked on the road. I glared at it, and grit down on my teeth. I focused. Move, I said. If I could use my power to slam into the monster's head, I could buy us some time. Even if I couldn't use the D-sword, if I could at least use this. I wasn't able to use it at all when I'd been chased by the pyrokinetic, but this time... Move! Move! That's what you're for, right? That's why I was given this power, right? In comics and anime, you're about always the weakest at times like this. Well now, it has to be now. I can't die here, I need to save Kurusu. Well, it's not gonna work now. Because technically, well, in a lot of visual novels, when there are like bad ends, they often aren't really, in the anime. So they cut that part out. So that's why you always see success, you know, even though sometimes when visual novels become anime, they don't, you know, show the parts where the main character loses. Yeah. So move! I screamed. I focused. I bit down so hard that I drew blood, but my power didn't appear. Heaven had given up on me. Fate was telling me to die here. Sure, I'll die. I plan on dying anyway. At least let me choose where to die. I die. This isn't fair.
和樹
Once again, I
助けてくれ
made a selfish request.
あの化け物を何とかしてくれ
I don't think Kazuki could do anything. Of this tiny, weak, and silent little girl. I gave up and trusted everything to her.
このままじゃ僕ら死ぬ光王にも行けずに死んじゃうんだぞ
Kazuki had finally caught her breath. She gulped once and moved away from me toward the monster.
なんとかなるんだななんとかしてくれるんだよな
She shook her head.
そんなのわからないかもだけどできることやるしかないから
That was all she said.
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
That's what she screamed.
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
She was trying to use her words to make a delusion echo again,
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
but there's no one to listen to her except us, so it's not gonna work. But
無駄だ
it's hopeless, Kazuki. Your words won't echo through Shibuya right now, they won't spread. There's a curfew. No one's out here to hear you.
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬフレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
Kazuki must have known it was useless too, but she kept screaming.
フレイムアークドラゴンは死ぬ
Flame Aqua Dragon wa Shinu. But even her sad, useless struggle was cut off by a roar that shook the air. The monster had been keeping its distance, but now it howled and charged again. Its huge red body bore down on us. There was nowhere to run. We were gonna be eaten just like that reporter. Nom nom.
和樹なんとかしてくれ
Feed the dragon. Kazuki readied her D-sword. She stood in front of the monster. She was so small compared to it. But I still had hope. Maybe that sword could do it. Maybe the D-sword. The D-sword could surely kill the monster. There's like 1 damage. Kazuki attacked, she charged and the monster swung the sword down.
行け消え
We're gonna survive and make it Higari wo! Wow! So please survive, Kazuki! But of course, reality wasn't so kind. Oh, yes. The monster howled once more, whipped out his front leg. Ow. Kazuki's body flew away. Its legs were thicker than tree trunks, and its claws were sharp. It was a simple matter for it to tear apart a human body. It was just like stepping on an insect. Kazuki was killed, oh, instantly. Okay. It was a critical hit. It happened so fast I couldn't even follow it. Yeah. But still I screamed. The strength fled from my legs, and next thing I knew I was lying on the ground. I couldn't stand, I didn't have the strength. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was an idiot. I was wrong to ever think I could take a monster like this head on. It didn't matter whether I was using my power or the D-sword. The monster ignored the bloody lump that had been Kazuki and turned toward me. I underestimated it. All of the monsters in Shibuya were just so unreal that I felt like I was just playing a game. I thought that I would be the one person who was okay. I thought that since Kazuki had created the delusions, they wouldn't attack her. But Kazuki was dead, and she'd been slaughtered by the illusions she created. This was insane. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think it was real. A huge jaw swung down in front of me. The breath that came out of it smelled terrible. Terror pierced my body as I heard the monster roar. I was forced to realize I was powerless to do anything but become its next prey. The monster put no special thought into eating its prey. It just ate what was in front of it. The dragon opened its mouth. I saw countless rows of fangs. I was going to describe the monster as we get eaten. It could crush a human skull the same way I could eat a candy bar. I'm sorry, Kurisu. In the end, I couldn't do anything at all. I couldn't save anyone at all. This was all my fault. And now it's time to take responsibility for the chaos I caused. As the chaos child. Yum. I could feel the monster's fangs bite deep into my body. And I could tell it had bitten off my torso. Yes. Just before everything went black, I realized that this was what it meant to become something's dinner. Bad end. Alright. We got eaten. Got lured. There you go. You know, that's what happens if we didn't properly do the map, you know, mini game. We just go the wrong way and get eaten by a dinosaur. Or I keep saying dinosaur, well, dragon, dinosaur, kind of like a mixture. There you go. And alright, got like, 2 endings, right? 2 endings so far, Adamura and Hana. So I guess we'll get another one. Let's see.